Hello and welcome to the Cultivating Calmness Podcast. Today, we are going to explore the grief that grows with us 30 years later. If you have not been following me for a while, or maybe if you have and you may or may not be aware, 30 years ago this Friday, August 22nd, 2025, 30 years ago on August 22nd, 1995, my mom passed away. She struggled for about a year with ovarian cancer, stage 4 ovarian cancer, and died in the early morning of August 22nd, 1995. And today I want to just kind of reflect on what it's been like 30 years later. So if you're trying to do the math and you're looking at me or you don't know anything about me, that means I was 7 years old when my mom died. My brother was 5 and my sister was a little over 2.5. And over the years, I think grief has taken a different look. As with many people, grief looks different through the years, over the years, as you grow and as you change and as you face different life experiences. It kind of surfaces in new and maybe unexpected ways. And sometimes for me, it doesn't show up when I think it will. It does show up when I don't think it will. For me, if I'm reflecting and looking at, day-to-day life, thinking about my mom happens fairly often. Maybe it's on a daily basis. Sometimes I would say, it's not. Or it's hints here and there. I have her pictures up around my house, so I see her all the time. But where it hits me the most often, I find, is when I'm in church and when we're often, in like praise and worship times is when I will find myself thinking most about my mom or most about kind of like that spiritual connection and maybe those questions that like we ask God, like, why did this happen? I still don't necessarily have a solid answer to that question. But it is one that, does come up for me. And, healing is not a linear process. So if you've ever experienced the loss of a loved one, you may know that it doesn't always make sense. I think we hear and we learn about the 5 stages of grief, which as a grief therapist, I know that, those exist, but not in the way that we think they do. They're not, step by step and you get to the final step and, we're done with grief. If my 30-year journey doesn't show that, then, I don't know what does. And today I just want to, talking a little bit about that. So it has been 30 years and I have experienced or will have experienced 30 grief anniversaries. So the anniversary of her death will be 30 years this year. And it, on one hand, seems amazing to me that it's been that long and also shocking that it's been that long. Some days it feels like it just happened and some days, it feels like that was so very long ago. And even it comes up in conversations with people, new people that I meet or, even old friends when it's, even when they know, it's like, how long has that been? And it's like, it's 30 years. And the most common response is, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. But also, it's been a long time and, I miss her every day and there are many things that I, wish she would be here for. And that's the way that, grief can show up in other ways. It's just those unexpected things. And, we can still have those unexpected things. Even 30 years later, I will read a story or I will see a post or I will see other people's things like on social media or just in life and kind of wish, oh man, I wish my mom were here. If it's my siblings, I've even caught myself looking at them. So as an adult, I find myself looking at my siblings a little different, because when you're 7 and your mom dies, you're kind of thrown into a world that is different, and you don't know how to navigate that, and you don't know what life looks like. And even though I feel like my family did a really good job of trying to handle that and trying to help us, it was still something that I realize now and over the years that I kind of took on myself. And that was like the role of mom. I was the oldest and my mom died. So I was like mom. And in some ways, I did take on that role just out of necessity. Like, dad's not home from work and siblings are home and somebody has to make dinner, so I would do that. But not all the time, definitely my grandparents stepped up a lot on both sides, and they were there for many years of our life to help and help to raise us. So again, as far as like who was the parent, there were definitely parent figures there, but I've had aunts and uncles tell me things that I didn't know about myself, even growing up, that they noticed. Me trying to take on that role. And then I notice that in myself now, when I look at my siblings, I don't always look at them as my siblings. And this may be common for other people, but I have 2 kids. The oldest is a boy and the youngest is a girl, which would be similar to my brother and sister. And they're similar-ish in, how far apart they are. But I will often catch myself calling them by my siblings' names, and, not their names. So those are like little ways that I know that has affected me in my life. And so, those are, I don't know if you'd call those triggers. Those may be triggers for some people. But that's just life. That's just how life is and has been for me. So for me, reflecting on 30 years and recognizing the ways that like my mom showed up for me. Even though most of the time, it feels like, and it was, true that she wasn't physically there. So my mom, obviously has not physically been in my life since I was 7. I am now 37. Oh gosh. See, this all sounded better in my head when I talked about this, but crying on camera is not fun. So, but this is just an example of how like grief can be very real and very raw, and like sometimes I can talk about these things that I'm talking about right now with people and there's no connection and no like tears. And then other times it can be, very emotional. So it just hits different depending on who you're talking to and what you're talking about, and that's okay. So my mom, showed up for me in different ways. She meant something special to me. It was always something that, I wanted to make my mom proud, and I wanted her to be there, and I wanted to know that she was there. And she tried to do that before she died in very special ways. So you can see, I have here a picture of her. So she provided, and she gave my brother, sister, and I a framed picture of her. This was actually her USPS. She worked for the post office picture, like her employee photo. So it's a really nice photo. So this was one that she had framed and given to all of us. And so I obviously still have that today, and it still sits in my room and has been with me pretty much everywhere I go. And then she also gave each of us a music box. And I believe this one plays Wind Beneath Your Wings. And it was broken when it was given to me. There is a broken wing here, and there was a butterfly supposed to be up here. And since then, I have broken one of the angel wings off. I have it. It just needs to be glued back on. And the music box has been played a lot. And so the music box piece itself is breaking, but these are mementos. These are things that were special to my siblings and I that our mom gave us. And so even though it was broken when it was given to me, and it was, I was told we can go get a new one. I was never going to get a new one because my mom gave me this one. And so that's the one that I wanted. Excuse me. So those were special gifts that she gave me. And another special gift that she gave me where I feel like she was way ahead of her time and helped to, help me to carry her with me in life is what's in this bag. So I have this bag, which is inside this bag, which is inside a safe in my closet. I have these cards. So they all have my name on them. Some say happy birthday. Some just have my name. And some I believe are written by her, but some I believe were written by other family members. At least the name on the front, because I can tell the handwriting is different. But what I have here are cards that my mom wrote me. And she did the same for my brother and sister. And she did them for special holidays and birthdays until she couldn't anymore. So it's been told to me, and it's been my understanding that she had intended to write cards up through her weddings and college graduations. But for me, she made it through high school graduation, and that was the last card that I got from her. So I got a kind of a first card after she died, and then my first birthday after she died. So that was my 8th birthday. So that was about 5 months after she died. And then my first Holy Communion, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, confirmation, first Holy Communion, 16, 18, and graduation. So those are my cards that I have from her. And, inside are little notes that she wrote me. And I think the most special one, the one that stands out in my mind, the way I was always told was that my dad would sometimes read the cards before he gave them to us so that we could be prepared for what we saw. And so this one was from her on my 10th birthday. And inside, she wrote, "Have a super day and a special time to spend with your friends at your slumber party. Love you bunches, Mom." I share this one. I've never shared it publicly. I've talked about it, but what made this one extra special to me was that my dad and my grandparents talked about me having a slumber party for my 10th birthday, but there was a debate as to whether that was going to be appropriate or whether it should or should not happen. And eventually they decided that it was okay. I could have the slumber party. But my dad read the card and gave it to me after I had my slumber party. And she had written that in the card. So whether he read it and didn't know about it, I was always told that he didn't know and allowed me to have the slumber party. And then we read the card. And so my mom knew ahead of time that I was going to have a slumber party on my 10th birthday. So I think, my mom was ahead of her time in, doing this, preparing these cards for, me and my siblings. And I don't know anybody that has anything like this from anybody. And I know I've seen some things online about these types of things before, having other people have them, but up until recently, I had never seen anybody have anything like this. So for me, this is her handwriting. Sometimes there's a kiss in there. And these are always near and dear to me and will be always kept under lock and key because these are the last things that she did for me and my siblings. And so they will always be incredibly special. So if you have something like that, those mementos that are special to you from someone you love, whether it was before they died or after they died, something that you have about them, I would love to hear about it because those things are what make our loved ones and help us to remember them and make those things extra special. And then what makes all of this maybe extra special and come full circle for me is this was, I guess, the gift that I didn't know I needed. So 8 years ago, I was pregnant with my daughter. Her due date was actually the 17th of August. And at the time when I found out that I was due in August, I wasn't really looking forward to it because August, in my family, we've had multiple people die in August. So it wasn't really a super fun month. We do have several birthdays in my family in August as well. But many people have died in August, including my mom. So I wasn't super thrilled about it. And so her due date was the 17th. As we approached the 17th, all along, I kind of was like, well, she's going to be born. I'd rather her be born on the 22nd. But the 17th came and went. And so at that point, I was praying and hoping, hey, if you're going to be born, I just want you to be born on the 22nd. That would be extra special. That year, if you know anything about 2017, the full eclipse that could be seen in the United States was the 21st. Now, it couldn't be seen in Ohio where I'm located, but we got the special glasses and we were able to, see some of it. And so if you know anything about births and the moon and the phases, oftentimes people will have their babies on or around full moons or special moon-related things. So I wondered if she would be born on the 21st. 21st came and went to work on the 22nd and basically arrived, sat down and got back up and turned around and went home. Contractions started and my daughter was born on August 22nd in 2017, exactly 22 years after my mom died. So, to me, that was a really special moment that I was able to share and a way that I feel like my mom was present in this part of my life. So, it's that kind of gift that maybe I didn't know that I needed and a way that maybe she showed up for me now as an adult. And that brings up a social media post that I saw recently, which connects really well to this topic. And so I wanted to read it for you today. So I believe a person named Sasha Gautreaux, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, wrote this. At least that's how I'm reading this. So it says, I lost a parent before I ever became a parent. And that kind of pain hits different. They never got to meet my babies, never got to see me as mom, never got to witness the parts of me that were shaped by their absence. And as much as I love this season of life, there's always a part of me grieving the fact that they're not here for it. No phone calls, no grandparent moments, no, you've got this on the hard days. Just silence where I wish there was presence. Just love I carry on their behalf. It hurts. Every milestone, every birthday, I wish they could see this. Parenthood is beautiful, but it's also lonely when someone who should be here isn't. Ugh. I read this before and it was fine. See, just another example. I can read this in different contexts and I can share it and talk about it and be fine. And then other times, it is just harder. So, I am hopeful that you stuck with me today and put up with my tears, and hopefully I didn't make you cry. I know if I see other people cry, I tend to want to cry too. So hopefully you didn't cry, but if you did, that's okay. Um, you know, I think this just shows that grief can grow with us and it can show up in different ways, and that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share your experiences with other people and with the world. And your grief can shift and grow as you go into new chapters of your life. I look at my mom not being here differently when my kids were born and when they were as babies versus where they are now. Now I tend to look at them, and especially, I'll look at my daughter who's now turning 8, and I think, man, when I was 8 years old, my mom wasn't here. And I'm here now with her. And that's just a weird feeling for me. So, it's just different, something I don't think many people think about when they think about, like people dying. It's usually more we think a lot in that present moment, because it's what we're experiencing. And so when people talk to me about my mom, not being here, I often can talk really easily about it, and we can talk, and I'm not crying about it and upset about it. It's just life. It's just something that is. My life has grown around and with my grief. My grief didn't necessarily guide my life. It has been ever present in my life. It has shaped the person that I am today. It has shaped who I am and what I do and why I do what I do. But it, it has been allowed to grow with me, and, didn't hold me back necessarily. I think there's always parts of us that are needing healing and looking at and talking about. And so I talk about this with my clients. You may process and work through things when you were younger, but then when you hit a different age, when you're a parent, you may experience those same things differently just because it's going to hit different. You have a new perspective now. So if you have lost somebody important, maybe even decades later, and it still hurts, that's okay. Take it from me, who's sitting here crying on camera. Not what I intended to do. I thought maybe I could make it with only a little bit of tears, and I forgot the Kleenexes. So, hopefully, hopefully you can, give me some grace with that. And just know that it's okay to talk about. It's okay to miss your loved ones, to hold on to those mementos, and it's also okay to let go of some of them. You don't have to keep everything of theirs. Sometimes that can be a bit much. It's okay to let go as you let go. It's okay to grow as you grow. And, I've seen that shift and change in my life, and you probably will too. So thank you for joining me for, I think, this unique, special episode on exploring grief 30 years later. And I would love to hear your experiences and to see what you have to share. Thank you for joining me today.